Good morning.
Good morning. Did I just see Jacqueline Thompson get on as well?
I see Jacqueline. I don't see her, but I see that she's on.
She's there.
How are you?
I'm here. Jacqueline's
Good.
here.
All right. Just like we did last meeting, we're going to get started. Our goal is to cover a few items, try and get done before about 10:30. We just want this to be enough information to get you guys started, and possibly we even have some stuff that you can start yourself working on, some things playing around if you want. Housekeeping tools. I was just going to show a couple of things from last week that some of you might have got on later, some of you might just need to be reminded of. And so I'm going to briefly share my screen, and I'm going to show you where, once again, we can find these resources. Once again, on our district website, if we click on the summer PD workshops, we have this remote learning tips. Here's the schedule. Here is the topics. Here is last week's thing in the form of a video. Lane and I are like everybody. We learn from our previous mistakes. And last week, we didn't have the settings set up to record our beautiful faces while we were talking. So if you click on this video, for example, it shows some video at first, and it has the audio of the whole meeting, but it doesn't have it for the whole time. Anyway, later today, when this video is done, I'll put this week's right here for anybody at your school or staff. If you want to rewatch it yourself but didn't get to watch it, this is where it will go.
And that was a question on the message board. So we appreciate those of you that have questions on the message board. We'll go through and answer those in a little bit, but that was one of the questions, was where does it get located after we're finished? So
let's talk about that message board real quick. Here on this chart, this table where we have our information, I didn't copy the link down here yet for this days, but this is the same thing. It says BCSD online PD notes. Click here to add questions or comments. So if I click on it, it'll pull this up. And so these are some questions that people asked last time, and we've tried to type in the answer. And we are going to cover a couple of those today. Did we want to go over that right now, Lane?
yeah, while we're up, you can just go ahead and go over it. Right?
So I'm gonna pass over to Lane real quick and let him take this one right here where it says question. How can teachers store video for students to access from home at the elementary schools?
So at the elementary, just so everybody understands how we have our YouTube set up, currently, if you are 7-12, you have access to YouTube, limiting different settings and stuff. As a teacher, if I want to allow, and it's kind of funny because it didn't really show itself until we went off campus and online, where I had to approve videos. So if I was a teacher and I had 7th grade to 12th grade students and I wanted to share a YouTube video, some of those YouTube videos I had to go in on the backside and approve. Okay, and there is a really good tutorial on how to do that in the frequently asked questions. So
I'll show that right now while he's talking.
So if you're looking for that, it's right there for you. You'll see it.
Go right up here to the home, same as our summer workshops. There's these videos and these how-to questions. And right here you have several questions where people have asked, how do I approve a YouTube video for students?
Yep. And so you click on that, watch it. It's pretty self-explanatory. One thing is, remember, we run 2 different domains. We run a student domain and we run a teacher domain. So if you're trying to approve a video on a student, you have to be in the student domain to do that. Okay. Another question that always comes up, and one of them on the message board, if I record something, how do I share it out to my students? If it's a YouTube video and I'm an elementary teacher, that becomes a problem. But if I'm an elementary teacher and I am saving or I am filming myself, I save that to my drive, and then I share that from my drive as a link to those students. You can put that in Canvas, you can email it out, however.
If somebody wants some specific help on that, please go ahead and add that to the message board, and I will have one of our building techs help us make some instructional videos, because I bet if you have that question, there's lots of people that have that question.
And always the question on the elementary side is, where do we open up YouTube? That's just something that when we first started this, we kept it K6 closed and we opened it 712. If that's something that we need to revisit, we can do that. It's just a matter of what you guys want that. So, does that help on that one? Okay. And I like the question, so if you guys have one, you can throw it in there. That way we know what's going on. Okay? I'm going to hold off on the next one. We'll come back to the next question down. Where is there a priority list or a best of list for us to do in our district? We'll come back to that one in a bit.
Yeah, save that for when we get to your part after Lorraine talks. Unless there's any other things from Lane or Lorraine, I'm going to jump right in.
There's one more question on the dates.
Oh. And
I think we fixed that. So sorry about that. Hopefully we got that fixed. So the dates are correct. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start by just giving a brief explanation. One of the many reasons we're doing this PD summer platform is to give people a jump start that are needing to get more familiar or get introduced to Canvas. And so I'm going to begin by sharing my screen, and I'm going to get people, the very first question always asked is, how do you log in to whatever this product is? And so the easiest way that we have found is to put things in our waffle. So if you go to your Gmail, you click on your waffle, you'll scroll down, and you'll find a Canvas icon.
Okay, now I'm going to kind of jump in right here for a second. Remember, we have the two different domains.
Correct.
So, and that kind of, where we found problems on logging in is if I was already logged in the other domain.
Yes, and so something significant. A lot of us, for various reasons, have personal Gmail accounts, or sometimes we're taking an online course through SUU or SNO or Cornell University or WGU. Now, Canvas attaches itself to whichever account you're logged in on that browser at that time. And so to log out of an account is what would be needed if you were going to log on to a different school's Canvas or onto a different account. So if I'm logged on to my WGU account or to my SNO account, I would need to log out of Canvas or log out of my Gmail that was used to log into that account. So under the assumption that you're not logged into any other accounts, then correct, Lane, you could log into your Gmail and then log into Canvas right here. Now for students, when they log into their Chrome device, it'll pretty much be an automatic situation. But you'll notice right here, in my specific instance, on this computer, I've logged into 4 different devices, or 4 different accounts on this browser alone. And so it's asking, all right, which account do you want to use to log into this Canvas? Well, I want to log into my Beaver K-12, so I'm going to click it. And almost instantly, because I've logged in before and used it, it takes me to what's called a dashboard. This is the different classes that I have. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about classes. Classes can be in the form of classes that you teach, classes that you are a student or a participant in, or classes that you are creating and editing and either co-teaching or collaborating with others on. Most of the time, under normal circumstances, SIS creates our classes that we'll use on Canvas. Those are populated from the information given from our regular class roles when we log into SIS and we take roll in our class. So if I'm a 4th grade teacher, it would be my 4th grade homeroom course. Or if I'm a 7th grade health teacher, then it would be the kids that are on my A-day, whatever period I'm working with. So if I'm a secondary teacher, I might have multiple classes like you can see on mine. But in the summer, I like to work with what I call a sandbox or a shell course. What that is a course that does not have any students. It's a course where I collaborate with other teachers, where I play with features. I play with and I add assignments to. Now the question goes, well, why would I want to do that? And if I did, how would I get the things that I played with all summer over to my course? Well, that will be a whole nother lesson, and we'll show you how to transfer the things seamlessly. What if I have a template? Well, we have templates. We're not going to cover templates today, but know that the district has purchased templates. Go ahead, Lane.
So just remember, there are no kids right now in our SIS system, correct? So there is no way that you're going to populate or see a class populated yet. That makes sense.
And you won't make any errors. There's no harm in playing with this feature that I'm going to show you. You're not going to mess anything up, because when the SIS does roll over in early July, I don't know exactly the date that Canvas rolls over and starts making that connection. But when that happens, the kids won't even pop up. I've even seen it happen. It might not even happen for maybe the second week of school as far as Canvas goes with the kids going. But as teachers, we'll prepare our stuff all summer long and have it. So whenever that connection goes, we just roll it over from our shell or our sandbox course into the SIS created course.
You know, and a lot of times people will ask, well, how come that can't happen quicker? Well, a lot of times those classes, they're not really done yet on our end. A lot of it is our end, meaning our SIS. Those courses haven't yet all been put in.
And kudos to the elementary school. The elementary school are right on top of the game. And this by no means is a stab at the high schools, but high school is a whole different beast where they're still creating schedules and they're still adding kids and offerings and sections, and kids are changing things. And so it's a whole different thing. But I would estimate, and it is our plan, that Canvas will be up and running with the enrolled students by the first or second day of class.
And if you're an elementary teacher and you are in a rotation type block, we're going to have to make sure that those rotations are put in and named correctly, because that same name is going to push across to a Canvas.
And at a different date, we will give some more detail to what Lane's talking about. A rotation class would be something like at a middle school level, like a 4th, 5th, 6th. I know 4th isn't middle school, but where you might have one instructor giving 3 separate math lessons to 3 different groups of kids, but they may not want to prepare all of the content 3 different times. We have systems in place to make it so you can prepare it the one time, distribute it to the different groups.
And with the students also, you know, last year we kind of did a few things with our SIS trying to help. And so in the elementary, we'll be talking to those teachers that in the past have had 3 different rotations or 2 different rotations, but yet they wanted all the kids to show up on the same list. And that kind of makes it a little bit different.
So we can work with some of those things.
But if you fall into that and you need some added, maybe a class that just has everybody, let us know so we can play around with that.
And at your secondary level, let's throw out an example. Let's say you teach Language Arts 10, and you have 3 sections of Language Arts 10. You teach it on A1, A2, and A5. Well, you want to teach the same curriculum to each of those students, but you only want to create assignments one time. We have systems in place using SIS to make it so that can be distributed. And that's not what today's lesson is, but we'll discuss that. And one more feature that we'll discuss at a later date is the possibility and the situations when it's appropriate and when it's better or not better to use the feature that allows SIS and Canvas to work together in a grading situation. There's a lot of things to consider in that, and we're not going to cover that today.
Right. But just know that there's a lot of different connections we can make, a lot of different toggles, a lot of different features. But hopefully that answers some of your questions out there. If you have them, let us know.
And so back to me, once you've successfully logged in by logging into your school account, going to your waffle, and clicking the Canvas icon, you get to what's called a dashboard.
Let me start.
Yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
One more second again. And I know some of you will ask the question, well, do I have to be on my computer to access this? And the answer is no. I can access it on my phone. Mr. Fisher put out a really good tutorial on how to do that. It's very simple. Can I access it on a Kindle? Can I access it on an iPad? The questions are all yes.
Yes, I should have covered that a little bit more. And again, we have resources available to teach teachers how to log on a device or on a Chromebook. That's kind of what we're showing now. Students sometimes prefer to do both. Sometimes students like to have their Chromebook and to download the student app. As a teacher, I know that I found value in having the teacher mobile app because I like to get notified when students turn in work or when they like to send me a message. What if a parent wants to create an account? Those are all things that we've already created some resources for, and we can cover later. But yes, those things are there, and I think it's important that you brought that up.
And it's kind of nice because as a parent, I can create an account, a parent account, so I can see the assignments and stuff that are being distributed to my students.
So once I'm in here to my dashboard, under normal circumstances, if you don't have this, please let us know. Please reach out to us. You should see in the right-hand corner of your screen a button that says Start a New Course. Now, I believe that's the case, and I've tested a few accounts, and that was the case. If that's not the case, before this day's over, can I have some teachers reach out to me and either confirm or deny that? Because it's very critical that you have this button. And when you hit this button, Start a New Course, everybody's very nervous about technology. What Lane said is very important. It won't hurt anything. There's no students involved here. And you'll notice I have a couple sandbox courses created, and that's because I like to play with little features. I have 3 sandbox courses created. There's really not a limit to it. You can start from scratch. You can keep going with things. But I'm going to do it right here. I'm going to create a sandbox course. And I'm going to name it Sandbox PD Summer Demo. The content on it is just private. If I wanted to make it publicly visible, that would be how I would share it with somebody else. So a student can get on it. I'm going to hit that box and hit Create Course. Now, inside my course, I have all these features, and we're not going to be able to cover all the features in a few minutes. But what I promised everyone how to do today was to create a sandbox course, how to import content, and how to make an assignment.
And I'm going to add one more to him, to look at it as a student. Because I think that's crucial.
It is.
After you do it, you look at it, okay, you're going to go, okay, I want to look at it in the eyes of a student. So what does the student see after I've done these? And he'll show that to you.
Okay, so the first thing that I've done is I've created a course that nobody can see. The reason why nobody can see it is I haven't hit this button that says Publish. Now, that's really only relevant if you're adding students to it. So something cool to think about is in a sandbox course or even one of your SIS created courses, students can't see your content until you hit Publish. So you can have it all worked out all summer long, but they still can't see it until you hit Publish. But once again, since we use SIS created courses, it doesn't matter anyway. So right now,
before you get too far,
go ahead.
Can I offer a suggestion as you're creating your sandbox courses?
Go ahead.
That you, for each of your classes that you're going to create a sandbox course, create 2 copies of it. One of them, create that you're going to have your modules. You're going to have everything that your student, how you want it to lay out, what your students are going to see. Create a second sandbox course for that same subject, but have that one for your resources. If you're going onto Commons and downloading things, if you're uploading things from your own computer, put them in there so you have that section of resources, and then you have the structured one that you're going to pull over into once SIS creates your courses.
Thank you. That was Ryan Fisher. He's one of our tech coaches at our secondary schools. And the value in that comment comes from the voice of experience. And what I'm sharing, the reason why I think he shared that is, as I've got experimenting, some of my courses are actually 5 or 6 iterations deep. And so I have downloaded multiple pieces of information or multiple pieces of resource. And so what he's saying is sometimes there's value in creating more than one course as you're experimenting. And so I want to put a pin in his idea and say that there's value in it. But for the purpose of what I'm showing you right now, I'm just going to show you the general topic of how you create a course and how you create some assignments. But I appreciate that comment, Ryan.
And with the idea that you guys will play around with this, create your course, your sandbox, play with it a little bit so that next week you'll have questions. You can get those answered quickly.
And I'm going to put Ryan on the spot, and I hope that he's okay. I'm going to throw his name out there as one in the district. That feel free, anybody in the district, if you want to email him about Canvas courses, brainstorm some things about Canvas, feel free, reach out. He's very knowledgeable on things pertaining to that. We have several within our district that have that skill set. It's not just Lane and I, so feel free to collaborate and work together with that. I'm going to go ahead real quick and just show you simply how to create an assignment. On the left-hand side, I have menus. I'm going to click the assignment menu, and I have assignment groups. For the purpose of this lesson today, I'm not going to go in much detail about assignment groups, other than this assignment group is called assignments. I could make a new one called presentations or projects or whatever it is I wanted to. That's mostly from a teacher's perspective of trying to organize. For me, right now, for the purpose of this lesson, I'm going to create a new assignment by hitting this button that says plus assignment. Assignments need to have names. I, as a matter of practice and preference, I like to name my assignments some sort of descriptor or something that refers to the plain English of what I'm talking about. So if I'm giving a lesson on a daily news starter, it might be on stock market. So it's daily news starter stock market. I could copy and paste words in there. I can type here. I can format and change things. I can highlight text and link it by copying and pasting a link. I could go to YouTube, find a video, click the Insert Media button, and paste the video.
Now just remember, that's where that approving that video for the students to see would be really important.
Right. So if I were giving this video for students in the 7th through 12th grade, there's an additional step needed to make that approved. But that's needed whether you're using Canvas, whether you were just emailing the video to them at all.
And if I'm an elementary teacher, a K-6 teacher, then I would put whatever resource I wanted in my drive, and I would get a shareable link, and I would put that shareable link in there. And that might be something we want to show, because that's really kind of an important step. We won't have time today, but we'll add that to our list of what we want to show there.
So right here, for my starter, I decided to include a YouTube video. And my prompt is, please watch this and comment to the question at 2:42. So that means a student would need to watch that. There's probably some question at 2:42. I would need to come up with some point value. And then I would need to determine how is it that I want them to return their response. A text entry, and this would be more for your older grades. Sometimes you wouldn't even have them do any submission. They would just have the assignment. Depending on your grade level or your purpose, they might just have the assignment, and you might assess them some other way. But if we were doing remote learning, they would do text entry. They could copy the URL to their Google Drive, their Google document. You could do a file upload where they could just upload their Google document. Here, where it says assign to, this is where I would assign it to everyone in my course. But what if I wanted to differentiate my instruction and I only wanted to assign this to Lorraine? Well, if Lorraine was in my course, I could start typing her name and it would only assign it to her. Here's where I would give a due date. When I give due dates, the due date is the date with which I expect it to be finished.
So, and we did see with this last, with the fourth quarter, with COVID-19, we did see where some teachers just put the end of the quarter due date or the end of the week due date. And the problem we saw, our students weren't too diligent in doing the work until they saw that it was due that day. And instead of having one assignment, they had 10 or 15 assignments. So just be thinking about that when you do your due date.
So what I like to do is I put the due date either on the day that it's due or 2 days after, depending on whatever it is that I expect it to be done by. So let's say I wanted it due today, but I really, because my principal instructed me to do so, or because it was better for the project, or because it was remote learning and we needed to give them a longer deadline, here is where I do the until. This is my lock date. That's the last date that they can electronically turn it in. I don't like to have that any less than at least 2 weeks to accommodate for kids that have funerals or doctor's appointments or things like that. And then you can determine after that original due date what you need to do based on what you need to see from them as far as late or not late. That's a whole different topic altogether. But this is just where you would apply that feature. For the purpose of today, I put the due date and the lock date.
You could talk about the availability also.
The availability. Sometimes I like to prepare assignments beforehand, but I don't want them doing them or seeing them. And so the available from, so let's say I was giving this assignment actually on the 17th. I was going to lock it on the 19th. But let's say I was preparing this last week. I prepared it last week on the 8th, but I don't want them to even see it until the 12th. That's when I would have that. So that way it becomes available. And so in simple purposes, that is how I make a simple assignment. Now, Lane asked that I show this from a student perspective. Now, how do you show this from a student perspective? If I go to my blue menu and click Settings, and I'm sorry I've taken so much time, everyone. Let me go to Student View, and this shows a sample student view. And so if I click on Assignments, I have this assignment. This is what it would look like from a student. I would click on it, and it shows a video. Please watch this and comment to the question at 2:42. Submit assignment. Well, what do? I can choose a file. I can do a text entry. I can do a Google Drive or something like that. Now, I have all sorts of more things that I need to show on Canvas, but that's what I promised today. And so with that being said, I'm not going to go any more detail on that, and I'm going to pass the question to Lane.
But play around with it. Start making some assignments on your own so that next week you'll have some questions saying, hey, I didn't like how this worked. How could I change this? This is when you get to play around.
Please put comments and questions on the question document. Please email myself or Lane. But like I said, at this point, I really need to pass the torch to Lorraine. And Lorraine is going to add the voice of experience, practicality, and a little bit of the stuff that comes from the craft of teaching that needs to be added to the technical knowledge of Canvas.
Okay, and I'm going to do somewhat that, and I'm going to make it very brief. We're running short on time here. I don't want to keep you, but I'm going to talk to you from the assessment and the literacy standpoint. Now, this is one thing I just, as he was talking, decided I needed to add. We have worked on putting together classes. So when I have you give me your data from your assessments, that will be in a Canvas course that I'll be the instructor and you will be the students. Or if I have assignments and you'll need to know when you're supposed to give an assessment or our checkoff list, then that will come through Canvas. So that will help you learn it from a student standpoint too. Now, just briefly on the assessment end, as you know, there's just absolutely no need at all to even worry about any summative assessments. We're for accountability. We're just
From last year.
From last year, because that's all. Thank you for adding that. From last year, that's all passed. But we do need to make sure that we have the data. Therefore, we need to be doing some benchmark assessments. These will not be new. We'll send out the dates along with our school's assessment calendar, but just know as you're building your Canvas courses, that's where you're going to need to start, is giving you will need to start by giving the interim or whatever assessments that we have assigned, and they won't be anything new that you haven't already used in the past. And I'm looking at both Kelly and Jody on there. You won't be doing anything different than what you have, Kelly Davis and Jody Sagers. You won't be doing anything different other than what you have normally done. You will just be reporting it to me differently. So, and it won't be any extra work on your part at all. I wanted to share just a little information with you about what the research has shown, and I get a lot of it. We've had lots and lots of assessment meetings, literacy meetings, and meetings from Pearson and ACT. What the data shows, and we don't know whether this is going to hold true for our district until we have actually gone into the first part of the school year, is that we will see much wider gaps from the closure in our early grades. It affects them significantly more than it does the upper grades. So therefore, we need to make sure we're meeting our students where they are. We know that all math, especially, and ELA topics are sequential, so they need to build on each other. We need to know where they are. So that will be the whole purpose for our assessments, not any accountability in any way, shape, or form. And then the other thing is, having said that, we know that we may see greater gaps just within our classes because we saw them before we closed, but as Lane and I were talking, some of the students just didn't get on. And we were able to work with them in a normal classroom setting, but we weren't able to work with them when they wouldn't respond remotely. So just in closing, just know that as you start to build things, which you've already been doing, so this won't be new either, is to build in your 3-tier model of instruction for all of those levels of learning and all those levels of proficiency. And if you have any questions on that, please just let me know. But please know it won't be anything new. Okay?
And, I think we're going to probably be done here in a second, but we'll get you some more information out on some programs. I hope that everybody has their list of programs. You can find it from the website. Hopefully, if you don't have usernames and passwords to get in, please shoot me over an email or a text, and I will get those created. But just this stuff, and you guys noticed as soon as we went off campus online last year, a lot of vendors just opened the floodgates on everything. Know that that's not going to be the case. They are going to reel those in, and they're very expensive. We've kind of switched over to Google Meets, and we may switch to another platform, just depending on what's available, when, and how we have to go, if we're in person or if we're online again. Just know that could change a little bit. And it's all based on cost. And Zoom is very expensive. So we try to analyze those different programs to see what's the best, and will work. But you guys are awesome. You guys are doing a great job. Anything that we can help you with, just send us over an email. We want you guys to have the tools during the summer so that you can be preparing so that when we hit next year, I'm preparing for red, just so you know, because green is really easy after you're prepared for red. So that's what we're trying to do, is get everything prepared. I know a couple of you that teach younger grade kids. In the past, we've had Kindles in the classrooms. We will have Chromebooks in the classrooms this year for you. So, Mrs. Davis, I need to talk to you to find out what you need. Sorry, Kelly Davis. Both Mrs. Davis are on there. So, if you get a second, send me over a text. I'll talk with you to see how you guys want your stuff.
Just in closing, next week we were planning on doing some more things with Canvas. That's the direction I'm going to continue to head, unless based on questions we need to be a little bit more specific on some other things. Next week's may come in the form of a pre-recorded thing that Lane and I prepared beforehand that will still be available next Monday at 10 a.m. It may not be in the form of a live. So just keep checking back this PD site for information or updates. Later today, I'll put this video up there. We appreciate any questions or comments that you had, and we tried to keep it within about a half hour. We're about 5 minutes over, so we're going to sign off at this time. But thank you for joining us, and please keep us posted with your questions and comments. Appreciate you for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.